Hey, this is Jay, and this is a quick tutorial for setting up a YouTube client in Google Cloud so that you can use it with n8n. In my last video, I actually bypassed that entire process and ended up just using the YouTube RSS feed. So that's just a quick and easy way to be able to pull in any updates from a specific YouTube channel just to see if, they posted another video or whatever. But you can do that relatively easy here. But that's all you can do. You can just read some of the data from a specific channel. If you wanted to do anything beyond that, as far as like being able to upload videos and that kind of thing, or update your YouTube data, you actually need to create a YouTube client to be able to connect to it with n8n. So that's what we're going to do. I'm actually going to set up a quick workflow here that will look for a trigger in Google Drive. So if I put a video in Google Drive, it'll take that video and then upload it to YouTube. So let's go ahead and start over here. So I'm actually going to delete these. And first thing first, unfortunately, there's no YouTube trigger. So that's why I was going to use Google Drive as the trigger instead. In this case, though, we'll just start off with a trigger, manual trigger. And then let's go ahead and connect to YouTube so we can look for YouTube. And let's say we want to upload a video. So to be able to do that, you would need a YouTube account. If you don't have one already, that's what we're going to step through here. So when you do create a new one, you're going to create a YouTube account. It provides a no auth redirect URL, which we are not going to use yet, but what we need is a client ID and a client secret. That just means basically a Google app. So to do that, we are going to go to Google Cloud. Just to see, I've searched before. So in Google Cloud, go ahead and click on Google Cloud Compute, and hopefully you get a screen like this, and then you just go up to the top right and then hit Console. You may need to do some setup to provide the details about your organization. So you need to create an organization. I don't think you'll need billing. Billing's more for if you're going to do like actual cloud compute and run things on the web or that kind of thing. In this case, APIs, so the Google Drive and YouTube API, those should be free. So you hopefully shouldn't have to set up any billing. But this is our goal, is to get to APIs and services. If you're just in an organization, you're also going to need to create a project. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this quick access. You also can select your projects up here if you had more. I obviously have a bunch, but you can create a new project here. So either way, we're gonna end up doing that. So I'm gonna go to enabled APIs and services, and again, we need a project to be able to do this. So I will go ahead and create a project. This project can be whatever you want to call it, just for your organizational purposes. So I'm just gonna say n8n YouTube tutorial project. Cool. And then the organization obviously is the one you just created, and then location, whatever you filled out for that, and go ahead and create. Shouldn't take too long. So yeah, it's usually pretty quick to create a project. Go ahead and select the project if you're not. So it should have your new project you just created up at the top. And this is a pretty good start. We want to be able to enable APIs and services here. Really, the goal is to get credentials. That's what we're looking for, right? We want client ID and client secret. So that is the next step. But to be able to get there, you can go ahead and click on credentials. It's going to eventually show up down here. Don't have anything there yet. So what we want to do is we have to first configure our consent screen, which is basically like creating the front end for our app. So let's go ahead and get started with that. So our app, again, as you can see, something like n8n YouTube app. This isn't really public facing, so it doesn't really matter. Then you do your user support email. So probably just the email that you signed up with, then hit next. Again, this is just internal. So assuming that in this case, you're not going to have anybody else accessing this app. So internal is fine. Otherwise, you would have to go through some more approval and that kind of thing, and you actually need to worry a little bit more about what your authentication screen would look like. So in this case, we're good. We're just using it for our internal purposes. Again, contact email would be the other way to get in touch with you. So same thing, same email is good here. And finally, you agree to the terms and services for their APIs. So continue and create. So you only have to do that once. That's just to be able to interface with this client. But now we can finally get to the last piece that we've been looking for. We want an OAuth client. So we can go ahead and create OAuth client. In this case, n8n is just a web app. So web application is what we want. Again, this is just a name that is for your internal organizational purposes of what you've called the app. So I'm just going to say, yeah, this is n8n Google client, because we're actually going to do more than YouTube with this. We're going to do Google Drive. But now we go ahead and fill out the redirect URI. So this is really the only other thing you need to do on the screen. And this is the only thing you need to copy from n8n back into Google Console. So if we go back to our workflow, we were in the process of creating our YouTube account. They did provide our OAuth redirect URI. So if you click on that, it should copy it. And if we go back to Google Console, we just want to add that URI, and that's it. Should be able to paste that in, make sure that matches what they provided. All that's saying is that n8n is saying like, hey, this is the URL that we're going to use. And now Google's like, okay, cool. We now know that that's the valid URL that we should be looking for, just making sure that nobody else is trying to authorize with our app. So that's pretty much it for this. So we're going to go ahead and create that. And then this is what we wanted. We wanted our client ID and our client secret. Ideally, you would not reveal your client secret because then anybody else that has your client secret could also use your app and start burning through your API or whatever. So best not to show this. I will delete this one later. But for now, we have our client ID and our client secret. So I'm going to go ahead and copy the client ID first and paste that in the client ID, and then go back to Google Console and copy the client secret. So we've got a button here and back in n8n, plug in client secret. And now we get a sign in with Google button. So if we go ahead and do that, we will have to verify. So you do need to make sure that the email that you're signed in, if you're signed into n8n through a Gmail account, you need to make sure that your YouTube is the same Gmail account. Otherwise, this also will not work. But yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and select the email that I used. If you have multiple YouTube channels, then you just want to select the one that you want to be interacting with. So I'm just going to go with that one. Then you agree to everything, having access to everything. And there we go. So now you should hopefully have a YouTube account that is connected to your n8n so that you can now access YouTube nodes. So not quite done though, unfortunately. We also need to make sure that we have the APIs that we want. So we have the client, we're able to connect to it. So now if you click on the menu and go to APIs and services, we need to actually enable some APIs because right now we have access, but it doesn't actually do anything. So we need to go one step further and enable some of these API access. So I'm doing YouTube first. You can just scroll down and click on YouTube. Or you could also, search for YouTube. We want the YouTube data API. So click on the YouTube data API and say enable. Should only take a minute. All right, and that's all I need to do. Now we're just saying, okay, this client is allowed to use the YouTube API. So we're good to go there. And I'm going to cheat a little bit. We can have this client do more than one API. So I'm going to go ahead and add the Google Drive API as well. So that gives us access to be able to watch for file uploads to a Google Drive. Cool. Okay, so that is basically it for the client. So we're pretty much done here with Google Drive, or pretty much done here with Google Console at this point. So we have our credentials. If you forget or something like that, you can always come into Google Cloud and then go to API and services. And then if you look on the left here, there's credentials. And then whatever you named your client, that would be here. You can just click on that. And that's where, again, this authorized redirected URI is still there. And then your client ID and client secret are over here. So those are always available if you need them. But now we are good to go in Google Console. And we have now connected n8n to YouTube. So rather actually than manual testing, we're going to go back to what I was doing before. So what I actually want is I want a trigger for Google Drive. And I want to say on changes involving a specific folder. And now you hopefully would only have your one account. But if not, actually you would go ahead and create a new account. And this would actually just use the exact same credentials that you used from your YouTube connection. So if you want to create a Google Drive account, the exact same values. So I know we said we were done, but you grab your client ID and your client secret and plug those in for Google Drive as well, since we enabled that client to be able to access Google Drive as well. That's how you connect up your Google Drive account. At this point, then I don't know, maybe whatever, every day. I'm going to look at 2 o'clock. We're going to look for changes involving a specific folder. And then I'm going to look for, actually, I think I've got my accounts mixed up here. I'm going to go back to my original Google account and refresh. All right. I'm going to look for, I had a folder called, there we go, video upload. So in my Google Drive, I actually have a video upload folder. And so that's the one I'm going to look for. We're going to watch for file created, file updated, file. So I'm going to just say file created. And then go ahead and test fetch. Cool. So this actually found the video that I had uploaded earlier. Again, this would really be trigger based. So when you, whatever, if you did, you could use the desktop client, I think, to automatically watch a folder that could then automatically upload whatever gets put into that folder into your Google Drive. But anyway, it should have found that this video is here. And I think the name is a little bit further down here. The ID is actually something we're going to need in the future. And then, yeah, here's the name. I guess I made it a really, really easily identifiable name, but it did find that's our name. So we're good to go on that. So Google Drive can now see the video. And so the next thing we need to do is we can't just go to YouTube directly, unfortunately. So I was looking into this a little bit. If you upload a video, you actually need data, and there is no actual data file here, or data field here, rather. There's a ton of data about, like metadata about it being in the drive, but not the actual data itself. So we need one more step here. So we're going to do drive. And with Google Drive, we're going to download the file first, because this is actually going to create the data. So switch back to my other account. Resource, file, download, and then we could do a from list, but I think what we're going to do is by ID. And then way down here, we have the ID for the actual video itself, under spaces, then ID. So we're going to grab the ID for that video. So that would grab the triggered ID, the video that triggered the Google Drive, and then test that. So that should give us the actual data. All right. So now that we have the data, we can go to YouTube. So we already went through the whole process of connecting our YouTube client. Now, if we wanted to upload a video, this is what we need. So they've got an input binary field, and by default, it's already expecting this data. So we're good to go on that. Operation is upload. I'm going to say test video, region code, United States, and category science. Awesome. All right. So I think that's all we need after all that work. This should successfully upload that video from my Google Drive onto YouTube. So that's successfully processed. Hop over to my YouTube channel. Now we have a test video uploaded. So there you have it. We have successfully created a YouTube client in Google Console. We also threw in a bonus Google Drive API to make sure that we could actually trigger off of a Google Drive upload to then upload a video to YouTube. So hopefully that was helpful. Let me know if you have any questions or comments. Let me know if there's any other tutorials you would like to see. I will continue to create videos like this. So thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.